מכוניות טיסה.
תעשי וידאו.
לא, תיסע מהר.
אני נוסע, תעשי וידאו.
יש וידאו, תעוף.
תראי מה זה, על הכביש.
יהודה, אם אתה לא טס מהר אני הורגת אותך.
אנחנו בתוך האש.
לא, לא, לא.
שב פה, תעלה. וואי.
Jerusalem's fire chief says these might be the largest wildfires the country has ever seen. Drivers in Israel faced flames blowing across this highway on Wednesday. Some were forced to leave their vehicles and flee on foot as authorities closed Route 1, which connects Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
That people just ran outside and ran for their lives. See this car, see what happened.
Authorities said the fire is active on multiple fronts, including as close as just 15 miles west of Jerusalem. At least 6 communities have been evacuated and several people are being treated at hospitals due to the fire. More than 100 teams are now working to extinguish the flames, and Israel asking for international assistance to fight the fire.
So the Israeli colony is on fire, and I mean that very literally. Massive wildfires have broken out across occupied Palestine near Jerusalem over the past couple of days. And these wildfires are actually so bad that the Israeli government itself has declared a national emergency, and people are beginning to evacuate the general area because they're really struggling to actually contain any of it. You might be asking, why are these wildfires raging so uncontrollably? And the answer is kind of simple: tree planting and colonialism. See, the Israeli colony from its inception has deployed what's called greenwashing, which is when a state or organization, or in this case a colony, appeals to environmentalism in order to deflect attention away from its harmful practices and justify its continued actions. In the Zionist context, greenwashing has been both a justification of continued colonialism and a defense of the very existence of the project itself. And in fact, the arguments of early Zionists especially were that they needed to go to Palestine and colonize the land because the current inhabitants were not utilizing it to its fullest potential, and in fact that the land itself had as a result become a barren desert wasteland. Now, the reality couldn't be further from the truth in that regard, right? And it's notable that Palestine is in the Fertile Crescent, right? It receives rainfall on par with areas in Europe, and its climate generally is very good for farming. But that didn't stop Zionists from peddling this colonial narrative that what they were doing was bringing life to a lifeless land, was making the desert bloom. And part of that operation, part of the effort of making the desert bloom, of making Palestine a greener, quote-unquote, place, is the planting of trees. Those trees are oftentimes planted by organizations like the JNF, the Jewish National Fund, which is a sort of colonial institution masquerading as a charitable entity. The JNF in particular has used tree planting as like a primary method for advancing its colonial interests, and they've planted a lot of trees. According to the JNF themselves, over the last 120 years, they planted more than 240 million of them. Now, you might be saying, well, okay, they're planting trees. How bad can that really be? Well, the issue is that the process is actually a lot more insidious and ultimately environmentally destructive than you might initially think. And that's primarily a result of why they're planting the trees, where they're planting the trees, and what kind of trees they're planting. See, the JNF, when it's planting these trees, oftentimes selects non-native trees and uses a lot of hazardous chemicals in the planting and maintenance process. And what ends up happening as a result of the chemical usage and the sort of acidification of the general soil and area as a result of these pine trees is that there's a massive destruction of the native habitat, as well as the creation of a functional tinderbox. These pine trees, these non-native trees that are being introduced into Palestine's ecosystem, unlike their native counterparts like olive trees, are really prone to catching fire. And when you have a lot of them catching fire all at once, what you get is a wildfire. And these trees aren't just planted anywhere, by the way. The JNF oftentimes plants these trees over the remains of historic Palestinian villages that have been ethnically cleansed to hide the remnants of Palestine's history. Now, those trees alone are bad, but that's also being coupled with the Israeli authorities uprooting hundreds of thousands of native olive trees in an effort to attack Palestinians and force them off of their land. Essentially, over the decades, successive Israeli administrations have committed to these sorts of colonial ecological policies that are destroying native flora that is oftentimes fire resistant and replacing that flora with these non-native flammable species. And what do you get when you do that? Well, you get a wildfire. That should give you an idea, by the way, of the real scale of harm that's resultant from Zionist colonialism, from colonialism broadly, right? The harm not just done to people living on the land, but also the harm done to the land itself.
Good afternoon, everyone. It appears that every grain of sand is also Hamas. There are biblical level sandstorms happening right now. This photo where you can barely see anything is from Beersheba. There's also crazy wind and sand going through Jenin and the occupied West Bank. May God be with all the people of Jenin. And speaking of God, how many of you have have read the Old Testament, specifically about the plagues. Remember that God sent all those plagues because they refused to free his people. It's like he's trying to send us a message about freeing occupied people or something. It's like it's not good to bomb Jesus's birthplace or something. This also comes as Greece and Cyprus have refused to send firefighting planes to the Israeli regime to help fight the major wildfires. That is outrageous that Bulgaria hasn't joined them. Everybody keep your eye out for locusts, because that might be what's coming next. I don't know if they've reached out to the US for help with this. I didn't see that in any of the articles, but please let me be the first to say no.
Fires that's burning in Israel right now might just go down as one of the world's most scariest fires because it seems so biblical. Right now, Israel is on fire, and that fire seems just like the wildfires that happen in California. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look how that fire is burning. Can you imagine being in Israel right now? Those people have to be scared for their life. Now, some people are saying that these fires have started because of those olive trees that were replaced is one of the big reasons why this is going on right now. Now, I don't have any information on that. I'm just going off of what people are saying. But tell me this. Tell me these fires that's burning right now in Israel don't feel like something straight out of the Bible. Look at this shit. Look how high those flames are. They are driving on the road. Look how high those flames are. Everything is in flame. Look at those people. Look how many people are being affected by these fires right now. This is no good, man. It's no good at all. Israel is calling on the international community to step in right now and help because this is a national emergency. Pay attention.
Oh, how the tables have fucking turned. If this isn't divine intervention, I really don't know what is. If you don't take what's happening in Israel right now as a sign of judgment, you really need to get in touch with reality. The innocent women and children who have fallen victim to what so many of you don't seem to consider to be a genocide deserve relief, freedom, and retributive justice. See, so many people, especially in America, like to think that all of this started on October 7th. But yet you're just proving how much that you feed into Western propaganda. If those were your women, if those were your children suffering at the hands of corruption, how would you react? And see, that's what so many fail to comprehend. We, as the people, are a collective. So you having such a strong opinion, which let's do keep in mind has been formed for you, is nothing more than a contradiction. One that proves how much that you don't value each human being as equal. These innocent women and children deserve freedom. They deserve to be seen as bleeding the same exact way as you do. And you would see them that way if only you dug a little bit deeper into history. Shit, let's take it all the way back to 1931. How long do people actually think Israel has been around? Before you force yourself to speak upon something that you clearly don't understand, I highly recommend that you educate yourself beforehand. Allow yourself to look outside the narrative of which has been placed upon you. If you don't think what's happening right now is a sign, then like I stated earlier in this video, you need to get in touch with reality. And it's time to truly find God.
Y'all, Jerusalem is on fire. And at the same time, it's facing a sandstorm. So they're having two crises at once. They said massive wildfires erupted west of the city. Multiple massive wildfires. As of right now, they say they caught somebody with cotton and lighter fluid, and they think he's the one that started. I don't know. Once again, we having a crazy fire situation. But then on top of that, as you can see over my head, look at the sandstorm, y'all. Do y'all see this shit? So one part of the city is facing massive wildfires, and then you got a sandstorm. Let's just say that person didn't like this fire. What signs will we be looking at? Because to me, that shit seems biblical. I don't know. Y'all let me know down below in the comments on what y'all think going on.
One thing about nature, it doesn't hoard. It will shed, it will decompose, and start right over. And this is a current situation right now in Israel. Look at God. From Wednesday, today is Friday, the 1st of May, so it's been 48 hours. This is how it looks like in Israel. Yeah, yeah. Kunjan maguj. On social media, people have been saying, watch how Israel will start blaming the Palestinians. Less than 24 hours later, they found a guy who had a lighter and tissue in his pocket and who has a connection to Palestinians. Therefore, come on, give us a break. And the thing is, Netanyahu has been warned many, many times about these fires being possible because in 2010 they happen regularly, and that the government needs to make sure that they have, things in place in case of these fires. But he was too invested in taking over the Gaza Strip that he did nothing about it. Takes money from the US, bombs the whole of the Gaza Strip, and now you want to blame a guy with a tissue and a lighter? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding us? Ugh. Soon after those allegations, Israel is hit by a sandstorm. Now, who are you going to blame now, Israel? Hmm?
Yo, this is just crazy. Jerusalem is on fire. And at the same time, they're facing a sandstorm. Massive wildfires have erupted just west of Jerusalem. It's multiple wildfires that are just raging in Jerusalem. Horrifying videos, horrifying scenes of just mass destruction. Look at this. This is a little bit of detail of exactly where these fires are. Take a look at this. Reports have also come out that they have allegedly caught someone with this lighter, cotton, tissues, and lighter fluid that is in custody, but it's unknown if that's the individual responsible for starting all these fires. But once again, 2025, another crazy wildfire in the world. Just take a look at that. And now, on top of all that, take a look at that sandstorm that they're having on the other side of Jerusalem. My thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in this area and this region. This is just too much to comprehend. And as for me, a lot of this is just not adding up. Too many coincidental wildfires across the world that are burning out of control, and then to have a sandstorm on top of it. Is this something of biblical proportions? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
So I have an update on the wildfires that are raging through Israel at the moment. So it turns out Israel asked international community for help. So Bibi's on the phone like, help me. And they asked Cyprus and they asked Greece. And guess what? Computer said no. For whatever reason, Greece and Cyprus are like, hell no, we're not going to help you. Now, this is Israel's own fault because they have been warned about these fires over and over again. And instead of spending money on planes and aircrafts that are equipped to put out forest fires, no. They wanted to spend that money murdering Palestinians. Now look what's happened. And the international community is not rushing to their aid. And oh, wait for this. Let me share a fun fact that I learned today. So apparently, these trees that are on fire, these forests that are burning down, they're all part of an initiative that was started in 1948 after the Nakba. So it was the Plant a Tree Initiative, where they imported European trees to Palestine to plant them so that the settlers would feel more at home. They would have a European feel about the land. Yes, yes, yes. And the interesting thing is, so there was all these villages that were where everybody was displaced. So empty villages of Palestinians after the Nakba. So they planted all these trees. So if you actually look at some of the footage, you've got these ruins of these villages and there's just trees growing all over them. Well, those are the trees that have caught on fire. Yes, settler colonial trees are burning down. The trees from the land, the trees, the olive trees that have been there for generations and generations are not on fire. There's no fire in the Arab areas. It's all in the settler areas on the settler trees. So the irony is not lost on me. Like the wonders of nature, like literally settler colonial trees are on fire. Those trees do not belong to that land. And wait for it, this is even more funnier. So Bibi's son is going around saying that this wasn't an accident. It must have been done on purpose because they wanted to ruin our Independence Day celebrations. And in fact, this is the first time since the history of the beginning of the settler colonial state that the independence torch hasn't burned. The very first time it hasn't burned. And listen, don't come for the finger. Anyway, well, actually, let's carry on. So anyway, he thinks that it's Arabs, but now he also thinks that it's Jewish Israelis. So he thinks that there's bad Jews that have collaborated with the Arabs to set fire to the forest so that the Independence Day celebrations won't go ahead. Like, honestly, you couldn't make this up. Computer saying no, settler trees on fire, conspiracy theories. Like, honestly, I'm about to go make myself a cup of chai and sit down and have a look at what else is going on, because this is what we call online entertainment.
So you want to know why many Palestinians are celebrating the fires that are happening in Israel right now. And I'm going to explain it to you. And no, it's not because we like destruction. For once, it's not just Gaza that's burning. It's not just our homes, our bodies, and our buildings being turned into ash. While the world watches us in silence and expects Palestinians to have the perfect reaction every single time to everything and have nuance and talk in a diplomatic way and be more human. What you're seeing now with us celebrating is emotional release. It's the trauma just spilling out. And absolutely, there are Palestinians that live inside of 48 territories. There are Palestinians in Jerusalem that are affected by this. Those are all valid points. No one wants innocent Palestinians that live in that horrible state to suffer. But that does not cancel out the collective trauma that we are enduring as Gazans, watching our city and losing our beloved people every single day, while everyone enriches and glorifies and supports Israel. Gaza has been incinerated with white phosphorus, with bombs, with non-stop airstrikes for 2 years, and even before those 2 years, it was happening to Gaza for decades. So yes, our grief spills out in this type of humor in those moments because these are the only moments of reprieve for us. Maybe the real question should be, why is it always on us to have a perfect reaction, while no one ever reflects on the flames that Israel has lit throughout all of Palestine for decades?
It's on fire, the roof is on fire. We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn. The roof is on fire, the roof.
Well, breaking motherfucking shit. It is being reported that southern Israel is about to be smacked with a giant sandstorm. There is videos and pictures being posted on the internet as we speak. Damn. Hey, I knew it was a little too quiet today. On God, I took a walk. I didn't post no videos. I was like, okay, it's a slow news day. Boom, apocalypse, Israel. Everybody's fucking going. Like, God, what the fuck? Now, hear me out. I'm not a religious man right now, but I know that Bible, and that motherfucker is spitting sandstorm. Wildfire and a sandstorm combo? What the fuck?